Many people have completely opposite impressions of China. On one side, some believe life in China is unbelievably cheap. A box of 30 eggs costs around 20 yuan. A bowl of noodles, less than 10 yuan. But on the other side, some think life in China is extremely expensive, especially in cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou, where housing prices feel almost impossible for ordinary people. So what's the truth? In 2026, how much does it actually cost to live in China? In this video, we are going to break down the real cost of living in China piece by piece. From housing, food, and transportation, to phone bills, utilities, and even lifestyle spending like smoking or getting your nails done. And by the end, you will see something interesting. According to China's National Bureau of Statistics in 2025, the average housing-related spending in China is about 6,397 yuan per year. That comes out to roughly 533 yuan per month, which sounds incredibly low at first glance. But here's the important part. You cannot take this number at face value because this is a national average. It includes rural areas, small towns, and everything in between. The reality is very different in major cities. If you live in first-tier cities like Beijing, Shanghai, or Shenzhen, your housing cost can easily be 2 to 3 times higher than the national average. Let's look at some real numbers. In Beijing, if you rent a shared room outside the Fifth Ring Road, the monthly rent is around 2,500 to 3,500 yuan. But if you want a decent one-bedroom apartment near central areas like Guomao, you are looking at 6,000 to 8,000 yuan. In Shanghai, the cost goes even higher. A small 40 square meter studio in the city center starts at around 7,000 yuan per month. But here's where it gets interesting. If you move to cities like Chengdu or Changsha, major emerging cities in central and western China, the same 2,500 to 3,500 yuan budget completely changes your lifestyle. Instead of a small room, you can actually rent a full 2-bedroom apartment in the city center, often with a balcony and much more space. Now let's look at cities like Hangzhou and Nanjing. These are major eastern Chinese cities. Hangzhou is the capital of Zhejiang province, and Nanjing is the capital of Jiangsu province. Based on 2026 data, a 70 square meter 2-bedroom apartment in Hangzhou costs around 3,800 yuan per month. In Nanjing, it's slightly lower, around 3,200 yuan. So yes, compared to Chengdu or Changsha, these cities are definitely more expensive. But compared to Beijing or Shanghai, where rent can easily hit 7,000 to 8,000 yuan or more, they are still almost half the price. According to official statistics, food, alcohol, and tobacco spending in China accounts for about 29.3% of total household consumption. That's roughly 8,631 yuan per year per person. But let's make this more real. Take a typical office work in Shanghai as an example. If you cook at home regularly, your monthly grocery bill is usually around 800 to 1,000 yuan. If you prefer ordering food or eating out most of the time, then you are looking at around 2,000 yuan per month. And here's something even more interesting. Occasionally eating out with friends or family is also very common in China. And in that case, a single meal for a group can easily cost 300 to 500 yuan. If you are used to Western restaurant prices, this might sound extremely affordable, but in China, this is actually considered a normal mid-range social meal. Now let's move on to transportation and mobile services, two essential parts of a modern daily life. According to official statistics, these two categories fall under transportation and communication spending, accounting for about 14.6% of total household consumption in China, which is roughly 4,306 yuan per year per person. Public transport in Chinese cities is considered very cost-efficient. A metro ride usually costs between 3 to 7 yuan depending on distance. A bus ride is even cheaper, around 1 to 2 yuan, and shared bikes are everywhere, costing about 1.5 yuan for 30 minutes, widely used by office workers to cover the last mile of commuting. If you take the subway to work every day, 2 trips per day at around 5 yuan each, and assume 22 working days per month, your monthly commuting cost comes to about 220 yuan. If you often use ride-hailing services, your monthly transportation cost can increase to around 600 to 800 yuan. In China, a standard 5G mobile plan usually costs around 128 yuan per month, but even cheaper options, around 39 to 59 yuan, are often enough for basic daily use like calls, messaging, and data. So when you combine transportation and mobile expenses together, the picture becomes very interesting. A typical monthly breakdown looks like this: about 220 yuan for subway commuting, and around 100 yuan for mobile data and phone service. That brings the total to roughly 320 yuan per month. In other words, for many people in China, two of the most essential parts of a daily life, getting around and staying connected, can still be surprisingly affordable. Now let's talk about utilities, things like electricity, gas, and water. Unlike rent or food, these costs are not fixed across China. They vary depending on the city, the season, and even how you live. In summer, when air conditioning is running heavily, it's very normal for electricity bills to reach around 200 to 300 yuan per month. Including other daily usage, the total electricity cost is usually around 400 to 500 yuan. Gas bills are typically around 200 to 300 yuan per month, and water bills are relatively low, usually between 50 to 100 yuan per month. So when you add everything together, a typical monthly utilities cost comes to around 650 to 900 yuan. Now let's move on to lifestyle spending, things like smoking and nail care. In China, cigarettes are strictly state-controlled, and prices vary quite a lot depending on the brand. The most basic cigarette costs around 10 to 15 yuan. Mid-range brands are usually 20 to 30 yuan, and higher-end brands can go up to 45 to 65 yuan. Now let's look at nail care. A basic manicure including hand care and simple polish usually costs around 80 to 150 yuan in a regular salon. If you go for more stylish designs or detailed artwork, the price can go up to 200 to 500 yuan. If you choose to live in cities like Chengdu, Changsha, or Kunming, your total monthly living cost is usually around 4,000 to 5,000 yuan. If you move to slightly more expensive cities like Hangzhou or Nanjing, your monthly budget rises to around 6,000 to 7,000 yuan. But if you live in first-tier cities like Beijing or Shanghai, your monthly cost can easily reach 8,000 to 12,000 yuan. And I'm curious, how much do you spend per month in your own city? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see how different life really is around the world. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.